What's good? It's Fevir. Today we're going to go over the first official look at the new combat system and combat gameplay found in Bless Online. Combat is one of the systems they were looking to rebuild and restructure before they brought the game to us, and was their primary concern according to their dev talks, and easily is the thing the community has most wanted to see from the rebuild. So in total, we got a gameplay video for the 5 classes that we can expect, and I'll link to them individually below in the description. If you follow Bless Online apart from this upcoming launch, then hearing 5 classes might make you wonder which classes we aren't getting, and that's the Mystic and the Assassin that won't be available to us immediately. Now, this class that you're seeing is the Berserker, Giant Axe, Spin to Win, Charged-based attacks. Now, what I want to draw focus to here is the stance system. You're going to see 2 icons, and they control the first 3 ability selections of any sort of character, and you can swap between the stances, and those 3 abilities will change, like a weapon swap in other games with a limited action set. It also puts the ability to swap back to a prior stance on a timer when you do so, and you're going to notice that the last 4 abilities do not change. Now, I imagine that those last 4 skills can be selected from a much larger pool of skills, while the stance abilities are locked to the stance itself. And based on what they've said prior, there will be 6 stances in total, of which you can only choose 2 at a time. Now, the combo system, this is where the bulk of the changes come in. The hotbar shrinks, but the potential grows. So the idea here is that the 3 abilities in your stance will web out into 6 other abilities. So you'll notice here, watching the Ranger, anytime a stance ability goes on cooldown, the combo interface pops up. And the way this plays out through gameplay is you are choosing between one of the 3 options, hopefully based on your situation and needs, and once you make that choice, you then have another combo action that appears alone. To pull up a development-based screenshot of the system a few weeks prior, it's all outlined and pretty straightforward now that we can see it in action. Again, I imagine that these stances and the abilities within are all locked, but I can imagine that there'll be some way to power up or augment specific abilities. This has always been a cool part of Bless from other regions. Now, you'll see the chain sometimes going higher than 3. This looks to just be using another main ability and going through its combo before the timer gauge expires, and I wonder if there is some sort of mechanic for high chains increasing or affecting abilities in some way. Now, I didn't see in any of the videos the reaction abilities that the old combat system used, and the hotkeys for the combos took over the reaction abilities hotkeys. These reaction skills were things that were only usable if a condition was met, so say you just did a crit, boom, an ability would pop up and become available. In other games, you might consider these procs that you actually pick and choose which ones you want. I can't say that they're gone, but it certainly looks like it. I also didn't see the, air quote, ultimate skill. I can't say it's gone again, but it looks like it. So just looking at the gameplay, it's still tab target with a few skills that are freeform, just as it was before. Instead, the revamp looks to almost take some elements of the contextual inputs of Blade and Soul and the flow of Guild Wars 2, where you have a lot more options at any given time, and it gives you an illusion of choice. What will make it or break it for me is how the skills are built out to prevent those choices from being made for you, because if this ends up being a choreographed DPS rotation and your choices are between use this if it's an AoE, use this if it's single target, or use this if it's just range damage, it's just going to be meh. However, there is a lot of room for cool connections to class-specific mechanics. So for instance, with the Mage has these gauges that fill based on what element of the abilities that they're casting are, and then you can use these gauges to fuel more powerful skills. So choosing stances to stack one element fast or focus on just 2 could be really interesting depending on where the skills that are tied to it are located, because if those skills are tied into the general shared skills and those are the spenders, this could be really interesting. Obviously, some min-maxers will drain the fun out of this and tell us what's good or not, but for PvP, it could potentially open up more than just one playstyle to rule them all. Weaving in some of my Mage's gameplay from Japan, just so that you can see, on the surface level, very superficial look at the combat. It's not as large of a change as I've seen people wish for. Most of the fundamentals are the same, and especially in the case of DPS, a structure like this doesn't actually change much in how and when you push buttons, but I think this could play out really cool for tanks and healers. It kind of reminds me, and this is a really specific reference, but the old Dark Knights in Final Fantasy XIV, before they ruined the class last expansion with their branching out combos, these roles, tank and healer, tend to work better when they're designed around a toolbox that's used situationally, and this kind of system makes their jobs more interesting because it takes a couple key presses to do things, and even though they're healing, they're they're also in there, you know, getting in their own shots. Especially the Paladin, it's probably the first time in an MMORPG that I might roll a healer. The very tame aesthetic really helps here, but it kind of looks like they're just right up there in the action and they're not sort of in the back just waving their fingers. Overall, the combat is what I expected. It's less abilities than I would like access to. I don't really like limited action sets to begin with, but because it's more key presses, it could end up feeling good. The worst part for me is the interface and the HUD. I was really hoping, and still hoping, it could still change, there's still time, that they would do something to make it prettier, but they didn't so far, okay? But, I mean, they don't even have translations in these videos. But that's going to be it for me. Now that I've seen the combat, I feel a little bit more comfortable showing some more Bless from the Japanese server because it's not really that large of a departure, especially on a mage. So what I want to know now is, what exactly are your thoughts on the combat now that you've seen it, especially if you played Bless in the other regions? Where does this stack up for you? Are you still excited? Are you more excited? But until next time, this is Fevir.